What's going on, everybody? And today we are going to do what everybody is going to be thinking about this weekend, and we're going to predict the NFL playoffs of 2025. We have a lot of exciting teams, and we have a really good, exciting playoff bracket ahead of us. I'm actually really pleased with how it turned out. Would have loved the Jets to be there, but of course, we didn't have that in the cards. Maybe next year. Never know. But let's get into it. And this is just ESPN's Pigskin Bracket Challenge, a little pick'em game. Probably just the easiest way, and maybe I put this into a bigger pool and see what that can get me. Maybe I get a share of a prize pool. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. All right. So, going down the line, we have some games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for this first round. The Chargers versus the Texans is the first game that we're going to have at 4:30, kicking off at 4:30 on Saturday. This is an interesting matchup because the Texans, they've had a lot of expectations going into this year during this offseason and everything with how good CJ Stroud was last year and with, just the young core that they have, especially with their receivers, and they add Joe Mixon to the offense because the running game was a little bit weaker last year. But now, you have a situation in which CJ Stroud has taken a little bit of a step back. Of course, all year the wide receivers were dealing with injuries. Tank Dell is on IR, which you don't love to see. Nico Collins has been a beast, but he had a couple weeks he missed, I believe. And then you have the Chargers, who are hitting their stride at just the right time throughout the course of the final stretch of the season. They've been playing so much better, especially Ladd McConkey, namely, and J.K. Dobbins has been at least a little bit healthier this year. I believe he's going to play. He's still listed as questionable for the matchup, but you of course have that dominant pass rush. This is a real tosser right here. I think this is one of the big tossers of the first round for me. Huh. Okay. I'm gonna go Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers just because of how vulnerable the Texans have looked. They didn't look nearly as strong as they did last year. Of course, there was max passion last year with the explosiveness of the CJ Stroud led offense, and I don't think that are quite as good this year. I think they're very vulnerable. They've been known to stall in some of the games that they've lost on offense. So I think we're gonna go Chargers here. And by the way, everybody, just so y'all know, disclaimer: all these are my opinions, and so the way my opinion shakes out, if your favorite team doesn't get included, don't come after me. But I mean, I went to high school in Houston. I used to live in Houston, and the Texans are a very exciting organization at times. And I don't think this year they have the juice to get past the first round. I think this will be an upset 5 versus 4 seed. But we'll see how it goes. Next, the Ravens versus Steelers. I could see the Steelers have a chip on their shoulder when it comes to this game, especially with it being a divisional matchup, and the Steelers have been known to overperform in situations in which they have like a chip on their shoulder, a rivalry with the strong coaching from Mike Tomlin. I could definitely see him come out here and do a coaching masterclass. But I think the Steelers have a lot of problems, even though they play with a lot of grit, they play with a lot of energy. I think that the Ravens are just clear cut and dry better. So I'm going to go Ravens here. And I'll explain more about, why I kind of think this would be the case when I go over the Ravens later. But I think the Ravens are just so much stronger of a team. And I would, if I'm a betting man, which I will be, I'm going to bet on the Ravens this weekend. Bills versus Broncos. Of course, the Broncos are extremely exciting to watch because they have such a tough defense. Nick Bonito coming off that edge, as well as Pat Surtain. They have an extremely tough defense, and they play with so much prowess. Extremely stout. I think that the Broncos as well have been over exceeding expectations on the offensive end. It looked like at the beginning of the season that Cortland Sutton was really their only kind of weapon that they had. And then they started getting Marvin Mims a lot more looks, and Bo Nix has really been overperforming his expectations as well, even though he was drafted, fairly high in the first round. I think that the Broncos have a lot to like about them. And I don't necessarily 100% believe in Bo Nix. Call me crazy. I might be the last one to say that. But I think versus this Bills team, in which they're 8.5 point underdogs currently, the Bills are just clearly, even though they've been battling through injuries to their defense all year. Like, for example, they were rolling out third and fourth stringers for a lot of this year because of just the injury concerns that have been occurring. And they've been resilient through all that. They've performed way up to par, way over par actually, and they look like, very deserving of the 1 or 2 seed in the NFL playoffs because they are out, at least in the AFC, they're one of the best teams, and they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I don't think that they lose to the up and coming Broncos in this first round. So I'm going Bills. So that's the first round out in the AFC. We have our matchups here. Out in the NFC, we have the Lions as the first seed. They'll get the bye. Much deserved, much deserved. Then we have the Rams and the Vikings coming up on Monday Night Football, I believe that is. In this first round, Rams versus Vikings. Rams are the 4 seed, Vikings are the 5th seed. Now, I know throughout my videos, I've been consistent in my opinion that Sam Darnold shouldn't be the quarterback that they invest in, or at least they should have pause when they think about that situation between him and J.J. McCarthy. However, he has been playing up to an elite caliber level this entire regular season. And the Vikings, they have so many weapons. And even though the Rams have looked much better as of late, I feel that the Vikings, even though that they lost to the Lions in an embarrassing fashion last week, relatively, I don't think that should be discounted because look at what they did to the 7th-seeded Packers, still a very strong team, the previous week. It was week 18. They were battling it out for the Lions to secure the 1 seed in the win. But I don't think that we should necessarily put so much stock in that the Vikings, to say that the Vikings can't beat the Rams. This is still an offense that has so much going for them, so many weapons. You are going to see a gunslinging showcase in this matchup because Matt Stafford, is going to be slinging that rock. And then Sam Darnold will be doing the same on the other end because of the weapons that he has. Justin Jefferson is going to get open for a deep shot multiple occasions. TJ Hawkinson, maybe he gets going. Then you have Jordan Addison, who is so dangerous in what he can do. As we've seen, he can absolutely take over a game if the other guys are shut down in the first half. Even if they key in on those 2 other guys, Jordan Addison can still get open for some good looks. Then we have Aaron Jones and Cam Akers and all these people that have been overperforming in that running back room that we didn't think would be as good as they are. So it's just a very, very, very explosive offense and so much big play potential that could come, especially when the lights are the brightest in the playoffs. Matt Stafford has that pedigree to him. He's won before. He could win again. But I think this year, there's something about the Vikings this year that I think makes me want to pick them over the Rams, who have looked a little bit weaker in my opinion. Buccaneers versus Commanders. Now so previously we just saw the 5v4 seed upset. Not really an upset in my opinion. The Buccaneers and the Commanders. Now this could turn out to be a legitimate upset, in my opinion. We have Mike Evans, who has been so good for so many years. We have Baker, who's a star, who shows up when it matters the most, etc., etc. The Commanders, though, Jaden Daniels, they're riding off the high of this max passion, similar to C.J. Stroud last year. Jaden Daniels being as good as he is as a rookie and playing like he's an absolute seasoned vet out there with the athleticism of a guy like Lamar. I might be crazy here. And, even though the Buccaneers are an extremely, extremely, extremely solid team, I might be crazy here. But I'm taking the Commanders. Give me the Commanders for the first round against the Buccaneers, which sets them up to go up against the Lions in the first round, or the second round, sorry. Eagles versus Packers, the two versus 7 seed. Now, at any other day, I might actually say to you, if you asked me like 6 weeks ago, Packers versus Eagles in the playoffs. Like if you asked me at the midseason, Packers versus Eagles in the playoffs, who are you taking? There is a world in which I might have actually gone Packers. This is a 2 versus 7 matchup, but it's actually not as far apart as you think. Packers are the 5.5 point underdogs. The Eagles have played so good this year with Saquon leading the way. It's no longer a situation of where it's Jalen Hurts trying to do young superstar things. And, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are still there. They haven't gone away. However, this offense is so much more scary with Saquon. The things that he's done this year. And that's not even to say that they are going to stomp on the Eagles off the strength of that alone. That's not to say that. Okay? And also, A.J. Brown is questionable. Is he going to come back? I imagine so. But I don't think they actually need him. And this is why. Josh Jacobs has been amazing this year for the Packers. Been really, really, really good. I didn't necessarily expect that coming into it. I knew he was a dog, but he's shown he's a dog this year. Okay? But more on that, though, is that the Packers are 1-5 in their division, at least in divisional games. And that's a division that includes the Bears with all the problems that they've had. And so 1-5 in divisional games, especially going into the playoffs. I mean, of course, the Vikings and the Lions are with them too. But that just doesn't seem like a winning recipe to me. Doesn't seem like a strong resume to have going into the playoffs. And of course, this isn't a divisional matchup versus the Eagles, but it doesn't bode well, especially the way that they've ended the season. The way that they lost to the Vikings in the penultimate week, 17. I just don't see it this year. Jordan Love, he's not necessarily finding the consistency that he had last year, and that is due to the fact, in my opinion, that they don't have a true wide receiver one. They have Jaden Reed, who's amazing, and then they've got a bunch of other talented guys. But when it matters the most, I don't think that they're going to come up with it. Are they going to have it? My answer is no for this matchup. I'm taking the Eagles. Brings us to our second round. Okay? Chiefs versus Chargers. The Chiefs are not as strong as they once were. But I know we say it every year, guys. We say it every single year. The Chiefs have never been as vulnerable as they are right now. Is it going to matter in this playoffs? Maybe later, but not right now. That's my answer. Because when the game is on the line, you give the ball to Patrick Mahomes, he's going to do things and improvise and do what he can to find a way to win. They just have a systematic way of winning games. So it could very, very, very well be the Chiefs are playing terrible throughout the game. The Chargers are giving them a whole big fight. And it's one possession at the end. And Patrick Mahomes finds a way to win. That is very, very likely that it could be like that. It's even probable, maybe. But the Chiefs know how to do it. And they will know how to do it in this matchup. Bills versus Ravens. This is probably the most important matchup because it determines who is going to be potentially the person to dethrone the Chiefs currently in the AFC Championship game. The Bills versus Ravens is going to be such a fun matchup, and there's no way in the world that I'm missing that. It might be even more fun than the matchup versus the Chiefs that comes after this. It's a crap shot, it's a crapshoot. It's absolutely 100% a toss-up. I think it will come down to this. The Bills have been so good. James Cook has been amazing. He should have been a Pro Bowler. That's a snub. But Josh Allen's going to find a way to move the sticks anyway, just scrambling out of the pocket. Lamar, same thing. Lamar is so crafty the way he does what he does. Pause. Oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. I think it's going to come down to the fact that the Bills, they've been on wear and tear on max all year. And when the game is on the line, it could be very close. It could be. But I think what you're going to see in this playoffs, this is a little precursor to the rest of the playoffs. What you're going to see is there's nobody better in the 2-minute drill than Lamar Jackson. He is so poised, so composed, and he's going to make decisions that win games. And he's going to make plays in the 2-minute drill. Josh Allen, also someone who's so good at that. Maybe not necessarily in the playoffs against the Chiefs, but he's so good at it too. Patrick Mahomes, same thing, like I just said before. But I'm taking the Ravens in this matchup. It's just me. That's the AFC Championship game right there. On the other side, we have the Lions versus Commanders. I think the Lions are far better than the Commanders. I think they'll win this matchup. I don't need to talk about it much. The Lions have been so good all year. They've had the best offense. They've had a stifling defense, even without Hutchinson. So yeah, I think that the Lions are a team that is likely going to make the Super Bowl, definitely, and they have a chance to win the Super Bowl against whoever comes out of the AFC or the AFC exactly. The Eagles versus the Vikings. The Eagles versus the Vikings. See, this is a tough one because I think that the Vikings, despite what Saquon's got in his bag of tricks, I think that the Vikings might actually have the better offense than the Eagles. And I think that the Eagles don't have the best secondary, which is going to make this really difficult for them. It's going to make it so they have a really, really long day versus the Vikings. Because Justin Jefferson, Ty Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, it's going to be a long day for the Eagles secondary when they have the Vikings to deal with. I'm taking the Vikings. AFC Championship game. Chiefs versus Ravens. This will be one for the ages. The Ravens potentially have never looked stronger on offense. We'll see if Zay Flowers comes back for whichever game, hopefully versus the Bills. The Ravens versus Chiefs is a doozy. And I could be completely shot in the dark here. But Lamar Jackson is going to get it done this year. That's my bold prediction. And it's also my genuine prediction. Lamar Jackson's taking the Ravens to the Super Bowl. The Lions versus the Vikings. From what we've seen, the Lions are the better team. They will win the chess match. They will play with the energy that it takes and the prowess that it takes to shut down some of the weapons that the Vikings have. Even if they take one or two away, that's going to be enough because their offense is that good to carry them through. It's so creative. They have so many tricks in their bag, literally. But they don't even need those. Will they use them? Sure. They'll be aggressive. They'll go for it on fourth down from 4th and 8. They'll do what they do. This is their year. This is the Lions' year to make it to the Super Bowl. And a lot of the people that I know out of Michigan, they will be happy. Some of them not. Some of them are Packers fans. But the Lions making it to the Super Bowl, it's going to piss so many Green Bay fans off, but I think it's going to happen coming out of the NFC. I think they're better than the Vikings. I think Darnold, especially when it matters in terms of speeding up the offense, Darnold is not going to have it. He's going to make mistakes. He's gonna get caught up, lost in the sauce when they have to speed up the offense because the Lions are just scoring that much and they're doing that well. The Ravens versus the Lions. Ravens versus the Lions is going to be an interesting one. An interesting Super Bowl, undoubtedly. These teams, you could argue that the Lions have the better coaching this year. The coaching staff of the Lions is top class this year. Their class. Aaron Glenn on the defense, Ben Johnson on the offense, Dan Lanning with the big, gigantic, massive steel balls that he has versus Harbaugh. Another crapshoot for me. It is. But you're going to have to, to be able to convince me. You won't be able to convince me. You won't be able to convince me that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, if they make it this far, are not taking it all the way home. I'm picking the Ravens. How many total points have we scored in the 24-25 NFL playoffs? 13 games. Oh, my God. 30, 20, 50. Let's say 50 points a game. What's 13 times 50? Quick maths. 650. Submitting my bracket. That is my bracket. I have the Ravens to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. Let me know if you agree with some of the things I've said. Drop a comment down below on who you think will be making it to the Super Bowl out of both conferences and who do you think is going to win it. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. We're on the road to 100 subscribers. We're 7 away. Just click the button. Even if you never watch one of my videos again. Peace.